Good morning and welcome to Rising. We have just a wonderful show for you today on this Wednesday morning. Thanks for joining us. Lindsay, I'm feeling just a little bit under the weather, so I'm going to let you do all of the talking today.
Well, let me win every argument. We'll just be fine. This will be my favorite show, guys. You down?
Including, we're going to get started with your lens today. Also, we're going to be addressing President Trump, who blasted the UN and also questioned its purpose during his speech yesterday at the organization's General Assembly.
Plus, Jimmy Kimmel made his return to late-night TV. Did you see it, Robbie?
I didn't catch it.
Oh, come on.
Because it's 11:30 and I had to go to bed by then. It's a morning show, people.
Well, he even shed some tears over Charlie Kirk's death, and we are going to talk about it.
Yes, we will. Also, Secretary of State Marco Rubio got into a fiery spat with ABC anchor George Stephanopoulos over USAID cuts and American foreign aid. Also looking forward to discussing what Trump said about the war in Ukraine with Russia. Yep. Very interesting. But as I said, first, let's get to your lens. Lindsay, what is in it?
Okay, a lot to talk about. So I'm sure you've heard the news. A new statue popped up on the National Mall, courtesy of a mysterious group that goes by the name of Secret Handshake. Now, the 12-foot piece of art shows President Donald Trump and sex offender Jeffrey Epstein holding hands and prancing around together. Organizers say, quote, "It's in honor of Friendship Month," which is apparently this month. The plaque on the statue reads, quote, "We celebrate the long-lasting bond between President Donald J. Trump and his closest friend, Jeffrey Epstein." Now, apparently the president is not amused by this because the White House spokesperson told TMZ, quote, "Liberals are free to waste their money however they see fit, but it's not news that Epstein knew Donald Trump and because Donald Trump kicked Epstein out of his club for being a creep." Now, it's not confirmed this is a liberal group. Like I said, it's a mysterious group that won't release all the identities. The fact is this satire points to an inconvenient truth. It's reminding the president that this Epstein story has not disappeared. No matter how many times the president refers to this as a, quote, hoax, when President Trump was running, he ran for transparency, all about Epstein as well. He said, and his top advisors said, they went on podcasts and promised to expose the associates, the files, and the so-called client list. Then he won the election and changed his tone. The Justice Department concluded there was no single client list there was no single client list at all to release, and the administration quietly pulled back on wider disclosures. That backpedal didn't settle anything. It only made people angrier and more suspicious. What matters now is not gossip, though. It's documents and accountability. The House Oversight Committee released parts of Epstein's, quote, birthday book, including a crude note that has been tied to the president, a detail Trump denies, but one that fuels a pile of questions. Now, reporters later described a truckload of related documents that the DOJ reviewed and members of Congress keep pushing to force those files into light. So when the FBI director under pressure in Congress starts reciting his ABCs, instead of answering whether Trump's name was in the files, it raises alarms.
The question is simple. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name is in the Epstein files? Yes or no?
Why don't you try spelling it out?
Yes or no, Director?
Use the alphabet.
Yes or no?
No, A, B, C,
Director,
D, E, F.
it sounds like you don't want to tell us. Did you tell the Attorney General that Donald Trump's name was in the Epstein files?
Why don't you try serving your constituency?
That moment further convinced the American people what many have been saying for months. We're not getting straight answers. Representative Thomas Massie and others are using procedural tools to try to force a vote to release the rest of the files. Now, if that succeeds, Massie believes the released documents may show new politically dangerous connections.
I think it's going to be embarrassing to some of the billionaires, some of the donors who are politically connected to his campaign.
And he went even further.
There are probably intelligence ties to our CIA and maybe to other foreign intelligence, and the American people would be shocked, I think, to know that our intelligence agency was working with a pedophile who was running a sex trafficking ring.
So let's go back to the statue. Whether you think the statue on the mall is art, protest, or just a prank, it speaks to what many Americans are demanding. Share everything you know about Epstein and his connections. Until every relevant file is released, including bank records, and every question is answered, every new detail will look like a distraction. And every distraction will only deepen the suspicion. Call it accountability, call it theater, or call it justice delayed. But make no mistake, until the truth comes out, this saga is going to follow Donald Trump everywhere he goes. Sorry, Robbie, we're not done talking about it. It's on the National Mall statue. You can laugh, you can not laugh, you can see the victims there, say that you don't believe them, whatever you want to do, it's not going away.
I was coming home yesterday on my scooter from the offices of Reason Magazine, where I also work, and this is right along my route home. So I passed this statue. I had no idea what it was because I was on the other side of it, so I didn't know who was holding hands there. I guessed wrongly that it was Trump and like Putin or something. Then I got home and then I saw it online that it's Trump and Epstein. So
oh man, I wish I would have met you there. I could have took a picture of you.
Har har.
Our
This is deep. This is so amusing for people. It's fine. It's freedom of speech, freedom of expression. They can do that. They can point out the fact that 20 plus years ago, as is well known by everyone, Donald Trump had an association with Jeffrey Epstein. I don't know, where's the statue with Bill and Hillary Clinton, frolicking with their best friend Jeffrey Epstein, or Bill Gates, or any of the other people. We know all this, so it's not new. He's not denying that he ever met the man. Maybe we could have statues for Barack Obama and Bill Ayers and the Reverend Jeremiah Wright and every bad person that any president ever met, and it's okay, fine.
Okay, but there's a more significant issue at hand, is that we have to discuss the Epstein files. That's the part that's not going away. Why is there
We are discussing it.
And I
Can't
remember you
stop.
keep saying that, okay, the president didn't explicitly say he will release any files. I was watching his podcast, and in 2024, in September, he made a pledge to release the Epstein files during a podcast with Lex Friedman. So he went on his podcast and said, yeah, no, let's release them. And he was all on board. And I know he wasn't as adamant as Pam Bondi, maybe not as adamant as Kash Patel. He definitely said that firmly right before he was getting elected. Then he gets in office and now it's like, oh no.
Anything they
way
have,
too much.
they should release. They are not handling this well. Pam Bondi has handled this issue in an incompetent manner. Kash Patel, I think, has lost the faith of MAGA, frankly, because of the way he has handled this. So I'm not defending how it was handled. More files should be released. All the information they have should be released. We should know exactly who was involved in Epstein sexual misconduct accusations. However, we also have, when these victims, so-called victims, alleged victims, stand up, well, they have the information. They can't say it because they took $1 million paydays to withhold that information. If you look at their stories, they changed remarkably over time. There are clearly false accusations involved in this as well. There just are. We know there are because Virginia Giuffre, the most prominent and important of the accusers, herself recanted an accusation that she made against Alan Dershowitz. So there are major issues of credibility and false accusations here, which is why it's a little bit more complicated than just I support releasing everything, but a little bit of caution is being shown because this has been clearly weaponized against just rich and powerful people who had met Epstein and didn't engage in any sexual abuse.
Fine,
which
so
include, by the way, we can pretty much definitively say includes Donald Trump and Bill Clinton.
Right, and so we shouldn't be scared on either side of the aisle to release the documents because the fact is, are you implicated and guilty of something or are you not? And so when Ron Wyden is asking the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, for files showing the money to the JP Morgan Chase account that will link $1.5 billion of spending from Epstein, this man who miraculously had all this money. People want to know who he was paying and when and how that might tie to foreign governments or to leaders in our government.
Know that too.
That's important. So why is Bessent denying releasing that? Ron Wyden has a whole entire speech on his page saying, release this. We've been asking him for weeks to do this. And he's saying no. Why is he blocking that release? So when you have that and then you have Kash Patel in front of Congress that can't answer straight questions, and then when you have the president calling it a hoax, even though on the campaign trail less than a year ago he was not saying those words, why did it all of a sudden change? These are real questions. And even for somebody who can tell you that I was not that wrapped up in this story prior to joining Rising, you got me involved, I can tell you that now there's a lot of smoke that I'm trying to figure out where the fire is.
The fire is not Donald Trump was sexually abusing.
And that's not what it needs to be. It has to be you are where the buck stops. You are the president. Make these people do what they said they were going to do on the campaign trail.
There are people who had an association with Epstein in recent memory, including in the Virgin Islands. He gave money to Stacey Plaskett, the delegate for the Virgin Islands, to try to get more favorable sex offender status. Bank of America. There's a lot there. It's just not as obviously partisan in an anti-Trump way, which is why there's been less interest in it. Next up, President Trump spoke at the United Nations General Assembly on Tuesday, and we'll discuss what his speech involved. He was criticizing, of course, Europe, Hamas, and also the UN itself. Stay with us.